Assalamu alaikum viewers, and welcome back to another episode of Soul Food. Welcome back to episode 3. I'm your host Sufyan Burki, and I'm joined today by a couple of guests. Two guests whose friendship goes back to almost 20 years. Now, they work primarily in the field of close protection, and for those that don't know what close protection is, think of The Bodyguard starring Kevin Costner. These two guests of ours, they're going to talk about their background, their experiences, and hopefully something beneficial that will benefit yourself, as I know them for so many years and I've really benefited their company. But however, like the Transformers, there's more to me than meets the eye. So today we have Ian Dewsnip to my right hand side, and Noor Wahid Fat. Assalamu alaikum guys.
Wa alaikum salam.
So, if you could just start off by telling us a bit about yourself, because obviously you're a former Thai boxing champion, you're a boxer, you have your own security business. Please, could you tell the viewers as to how you got to where you are today?
First of all, I'd like to thank you and the Prophetic Path to inviting us here today to share our experiences with the viewers out there and helping them in some way to kind of give them that missing link, if you want to call it. And the mic's working. Check, yo. All right, okay. Give us a shout out if you can hear me, because I think it's that pad's not working yet. Is that pad working? All right. Okay.
Yeah, we're working.
Okay, so yeah, to get into it was like, I think destiny that finds you. We didn't go looking out for to do what we're doing, and things just come your way.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Okay, interesting. Ian, so you're primarily now a security consultant. Now, I worked with you in the past, and now I didn't know that your security company is international, because you not only have one or two security companies, you've got 4.
Correct.
Is that correct? So, could you please tell the viewers as to more about your business and how you've gone international?
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, we have 2 UK companies. The high-end stuff, close protection, bodyguarding. That side also does door supervision, surveillance, private investigation. Another side of a different company in the UK is a procurement company. So if you're a military country, government, if you're a police if you're the police,
Yeah.
then, or if you're a private security company, you come to us and we will procure you whatever you want. Procure basically means we will find for you. We don't have it in the garage,
Right.
but over the years built up so many connections
Right.
with different people that we can actually make the phone call.
Excellent.
Go back now, 2009, we trained close protection for many years too. Trained a Gambian presidential bodyguard who then in 2011 asked us to go over and train the rest of the Gambian presidential guard.
Fantastic.
And that introduction to Africa in West Africa led me to meet somebody from East Africa, from Tanzania, and in 2014 we set up HGS in Tanzania. And the company over there, although at the moment everything's a little bit idle because of this pandemic scenario, we have basically protected the animals by chasing the poachers.
Wow.
And we've got a series of governmental sites that we provide the protection for.
Excellent. Fantastic.
So yeah, internationally is good. From a personal point of view, we've conducted operational tasks all over the world. There's nowhere that we won't go.
Excellent.
Well, nearly nowhere
yeah.
we won't go.
Apart from the kitchen. Apart from the kitchen, that's it.
Apart from Wally Range.
There you go. New ambitions anyway. So let's go back to Noor. So obviously you didn't always want to be in the security industry, did you?
No.
Let's go back to your childhood and how you went into the martial arts, how you went to self-defence, health and fitness, security. Could you just tell us, perhaps?
From a young age, from school, wasn't very kind of academic, you can call it school-wise, and I left school in what we call third year or fourth year.
Yeah.
I don't know what that would be now, because
Right.
they keep on calling it year 11, 12,
Yeah, that's
13,
right. Yeah,
or-
GCSE years, year 11. Yeah.
So 14, left school, didn't really, school wasn't for me, because I think my learning set, skills were different.
Fine.
And everyone wanted to be academically good at English, good at this, and it wasn't for me really for school. So I was then sentenced to work in the family business for 7 days a week.
Wow.
12 hours a day.
Family business was?
Well, it was grocery, so it was
Right,
like
okay, sure.
meat butchers, grocery stores.
Right.
And so I was there working a day in, day out.
Wow.
And you had a park in front of the shop, so you see all my friends playing in the park and all that kind of carry on.
Right.
And I would think, I'm going to get out of the shop. So one day I'm picking up these bags of onions, and I see a good friend of mine going past Atifik Bar.
Okay.
And he kind of said, you should come to the gym. So, gym? What's a gym?
Back then, because gyms weren't very popular, were they?
No,
You have gyms everywhere.
they were just mainly weights gyms back then.
Right.
I was in Charlton, Wally Range. There was a gym
Right.
called Body Shapers
Okay.
in Charlton. So I said, yeah, all right, okay. Got out a day out of there, out of the shop, went down with him, and went to this gymnasium. It was like a weightlifting place, and went into this one room. It was full of people doing their exercises, and I sat on this bench, and it was like a weightlifting bench. It was a high one. So I sat on this bench, and there was this man in front of me, and he was kind of like choreographing these other, training the two other guys in front of them, and I was watching the class behind him. So he was in front of me, and he was training these two people, and I wanted to watch the class ahead. So I says, "Excuse me, mate, can you move out of the way?" And he turns around, looks at me, and then turns to the side. And I said, "All right, thank you." Like that. And then next week when I went into the class on the Monday, it was the trainer, and he recognised me. Oliver Harrison.
Right.
My lifetime friend, and even he's left. God bless him now. He's left this. He passed away a few years ago. So I get to the class, and 1 or 2 days later, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. When it comes to Friday, points me out like that. So you have everyone sat on the floor,
Right.
and then he'll point to you to say, "Come and spar with him."
Right.
So I'm not saying it was personal.
And how old were you at the time? Just to give
I
us
might
an
be
idea.
coming on to about 18.
Right. Okay. Wow.
18,
Right.
about 18, at age 18.
Sure.
And just being a rough and ready guy, just gone, no discipline of respect.
Right.
Just went straight in. Had no kind of technique on, just went straight into it, and then, he just kind of like palmed me away and moved, and then I must have been tired in 30 seconds, I don't know. And he just gave me one nice control kick to my leg, and I was like, ah.
Right.
And then he goes, right, go sit down.
Yes.
And then from there, to get to the gym from there, it was just like getting out of work, getting out of the shop.
Right, it's nice.
So then things just led on from there.
Okay, interesting.
It wasn't even about going to become anything. It was just getting out,
Right.
getting a bit of sociality,
Yeah.
social life kind of thing. You know what I
But
mean?
little did you know that this opportunity, this meeting now, with the teacher at the time, you would go to such high levels in the martial arts world. You won a Thai boxing championship. Is that?
We're going back in the 80s, late 80s into the 90s.
Yes.
One you have to understand is there wasn't many Asian
Right.
professional fighters.
Okay.
The only one at that time that I knew of, or would know of, was Cash the Flash.
Yes, that's right.
Cash the Flash Gill from Birmingham,
right, yeah.
right? And he was a world champion in kickboxing,
Yes. Right.
and he's still doing it now in
Right.
Birmingham. You know what I mean? So bless him.
Yeah.
And probably other Asian martial artists, whether it be karate. My cousin, who was also Kaleem, he was a European champion in karate.
Wow.
So there was a few, but they didn't get that stage. I didn't even get the stage. But what I'm saying is,
Back then, yes.
we got promoted, and we had good people behind us.
Right.
People who have been there, and maybe they kind of fell short a bit.
Mm.
So where they fell short, they thought, right, we're going to help the next generation.
Yeah, that's right. That's nice. That's nice. And Ian, how about yourself? So obviously we know you've got international companies, 4 big companies around the world, very successful. Could you perhaps just elaborate on how you actually, at an early age, did you always wanted to be working in the security industry, or what were your ambitions perhaps at a young age, or how did you?
I didn't do brilliant at school either.
That's
I did
fine.
okay.
That's fine.
But I was more known at school for mayhem than than mathematics.
Still the same, Ian.
Nothing's changed, has it?
And
Yeah.
it was kind of a choice: go to jail or go and join the army.
Wow.
So
It's the same, innit?
not these days, but back in the day.
Right.
So I embarked on a military career.
Okay.
I went into some interesting divisions of the military and served over in Northern Ireland and other places.
Wow.
I came out in the late 80s and I wondered what to do. Didn't know what to do. Went into office jobs, couldn't sit behind a
Sure.
desk, couldn't do
Okay.
that. Went into sales jobs,
Yes.
didn't really like that either. And
Yeah.
I then got asked to do a door, be a bouncer back in those days.
Ah, right,
So
okay,
I
sure.
started to do doors and run doors. I was living in London at the time.
Right.
Got quite successful with that. Reputation led ahead. Started to do some what we call minding, which is where we
Minding.
have you have celebrities or high net worth individuals back in
Wow.
the day
Okay.
that needed protection. Those are the days when you could rip the camera off a photographer or a tog and just give them a smack on the
You
nose.
still do, Ian.
And
Yeah.
you don't only,
Not
only
anymore.
when there's no cameras looking. And you get away with it in those days.
Right.
And so we would develop that. I then met with somebody who had some money, and we talked about a business in hunting, shooting, fishing, walking, riding.
Wow.
So we set up some retail businesses, and they were very successful. Ran alongside that with the security. 1995, I had my first real overseas client, an Egyptian guy who was the spitting image of Saddam Hussein.
Wow.
And I mean the spitting image.
You sure it wasn't him, Ian?
Looks and
Was it
everything.
your double?
You never
It
told
was
me
one
that.
of his doubles, I'm sure.
You never know.
And we went over to the Middle East and did some work there. And from there on, he personal recommendations led me on to other people. So we ran the security alongside the retail. Then in 2001, we had foot and mouth. The countryside shut. We had warehouse full of stock,
Right.
no customers.
Okay.
So the company went bust, and I then focused myself just on basically what we now know as close protection, bodyguarding.
Right.
Went overseas and did some work overseas, and then in 2003 came back to Manchester and met with this hoodlum and he took me down the wrong path. No, he didn't. We worked on some doors in Manchester, and the SIA, the Security Industry Authority, came along, and you then had to have a license to perform security duties. So I thought, I've got my military training for protection, but I've got nothing that I can actually say to the SIA, there you are. So I thought I'll do a course. So I went to a course and did a course, and they contacted me and said, you got the second highest mark ever. I said, who's got the highest? He said, the guy that
guy next to you.
The guy that taught
The guy next to you.
the guy that taught with me. So I went, all right, okay then. So off we went, carried on. A few months later, we got a phone call, and he said, we're expanding the company.
Yes.
We'd like you to join as the ops manager. So I then joined a
ops
company
manager
as
being
operations manager.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah.
With responsibilities for running the tasks, finding the tasks, running the tasks, and assisting with the training. And then in 2004, when we had to have licenses, Noor come along and did the training with us, and he got the second best mark.
After you.
He beat me.
Right, okay.
He beat me.
Fantastic.
And then from then on, Noor and I's relationship has just flowed. Really, he's become like a brother to me.
Man.
Wow.
He's had my back, I've had his back.
Excellent.
We've done some
Don't take that
really interesting, really interesting jobs, from small jobs to quite major jobs. We did that big job in London with that very famous person,
Michael
which
Jackson.
went terrifically well.
Okay.
Then I came back to. I still live down south. I came back to Manchester in 2010 to live. Took a different path, and this is a complete dichotomy from where you would imagine I went. The lady that I was with said, "You never hear." That's a little bit of a problem with close protection, because one day you're in the UK, the next day you're in New York. You're in LA, you're in Monaco, you're in Moscow, you're in Afghanistan, you're in Iraq. You can be anywhere at all. And she said, it's me or the job. So I chose her. So I gave up the close protection and I walked away from the security industry. I retrained as a colonic hydrotherapist.
For the viewers and myself, could you?
So you still got so you still got people's backs, yeah?
Colonic hydrotherapist is where you we hold a lot of waste in our gut, and so it's cleansing of the gut. I did a Radio Manchester interview, and the lady said, so one day you kick the out of people, the next day you remove it gently. And I went, yeah, that kind of sums me up.
Yeah.
Anyway, 6 months down the line, this lady says, you're always under my feet, can't you go away again? So we set up company, and I had a 6-month hiatus of no security, and really from 2011 we've come on leaps and bounds, and Noor and I work very closely together. We support each other in all the different projects, which range from CCTV through to event security, through to door security, high net worth, residential security. So we work very, very closely together.
Cleaning.
Yeah, branch out to you.
Yeah,
wow.
But
Cleaning contract.
he never makes the tea for me.
Yeah. Well, it's always bringing the flask prepared.
Somebody's supposed to be.
Okay, no, that's fantastic. So I'm going to come back to that in a second. We've got loads of questions on our YouTube channel. So if you do have any questions, please do feel free to ask on YouTube. Any shout outs, please do ask us on YouTube, and I'll be happy to. I'm just going to pick a couple of questions. Let's start off with from Haroon Pickles. He's asking, hi, how does Thai boxing or martial arts give you respect? How has it taught you respect and these kind of disciplinary aspects, perhaps?
I think the respect factor you learn through as you go along, because there's some individuals who come into the class and they're kind of like just walk in as if it's just they're at school, or that to me is a reflection of them when they're in their own kind of circle as an individual. to be able to read somebody as they are as a person. So when they come into the class, we don't expect them to straight away fall into line. You know what I mean? So we have to look at them as an individual and try to say, okay, let them be. You know what I mean? Because we have to, first of all, we have to build up a relationship with this person, and from there we can gradually work on them. So to trying to gain respect straight away and go out there and try to say we're this or we're that, it doesn't happen straight away. It takes time.
Okay, interesting.
I think respect is self-respect. Martial arts provide you with an environment where you learn about your own self-discipline.
Correct.
Right.
And it very much is about discipline. And you can take that discipline out into the world. It gives you an inner confidence as well to know that if you are going to be picked upon within, not sure about Muay Thai because I've never done Muay Thai.
It's across the board. I'd look at it just straight across the board. Doesn't matter what discipline it is.
Within the martial arts that I've learned, it is about knowing your own confidence, knowing that you only go at somebody when you know it's about self-defense. You don't actually attack somebody. It's always open palms. You don't attack somebody. You only use that knowledge and that skill when you're being attacked. But it's the confidence that it gives you, that you know that if some idiot's going to come and pick on you, if it comes to it, they're the ones that are going to go down.
The other side to that is, like, kind of touched on there, was knowing themselves. You know what I mean? Everyone can talk. Everyone can be bravado. They might have this image, the size, muscle. For me, that doesn't mean it's nothing. That's just a physical appearance. But what's inside it? So learning what I know now, what I didn't know then, was the biggest muscle that you can train is your heart. And I've got a tag on my WhatsApp, is that it says, you can't teach heart.
Courage.
You know what I mean? You can't teach heart. You can go to any training you want. Where are you going to learn heart? You know what I mean? Everything everyone's got the survival gene in them, but then it's down to the individual. So sometimes you might find shorter guys, and we'll come across that all the time. Shorter guys, and they've got raging bulls, you know what I mean? You think, bloody hell, just imagine if he was about 6 foot something, you'd be an animal. But they're an animal anyway. So we have to try to kind of modify them and try to reprogram them or de-radicalize them or do something to them, and to make them a bit more kind of control that kind of anger, or give them that anger, but to control it when to put it on and off. So it's like a switch and an on-off switch.
Definitely. My on-off switch didn't work for a long time because I came away being very, very angry.
Multi-wiring.
Very angry from military, feeling very let down by them, and my off switch didn't work. And it took me some soul searching, and again, you meet people in life who kind of open your eyes to different things, and it took me that to start to be able to control my on-off switch. So my anger now is here, but I can flip that switch and it can be up there. But the other thing that I've learned as age, because I'm an old man now.
Well, you're still
you
young.
may not think so, viewers, but I'm an old man these days.
Still young.
You just hit a dirty channel, you know. Come on.
De-escalation.
Yeah.
Very much about de-escalation, taking with close protection. We used to teach, if you have to use these and these, then you've not used that. Okay. So this is your last resort. Always your last resort. Knowing, and this is where the martial arts come, knowing that you can handle yourself, knowing that a good kick to the knee will disable somebody and you can then run off, is always useful. But it's the de-escalation. Talk it down if you can do. Don't look for trouble where sometimes there isn't any trouble.
That's interesting, yeah. Because obviously your relationship goes back to almost 20 years now. We've got two different cultures, but your hearts are very similar. And so that's something quite interesting, because when I speak to yourself, Noor, and speaking to you, there's no real difference. There's very little difference, because the hearts are so similar, and yet you come from such different backgrounds.
Yeah, I'm better looking.
Only when his comedy's there.
What do you think, viewers? Who's better looking out of the two? But no, but on a more
Let's have your votes, please.
No, but on a more serious note, though, how important is it, but looking past the the surface of a person, because you two have worked together for so long, so many jobs. We're talking about racial equality, because obviously we're from different races. What could you say about that? About looking at the person's heart? How
Again, I would say, like, when you're out there, it's like I said, having yourself. You need to know who you are. Point number one. Don't think who you are. You need to know who you are and what you're capable of. That's just in general, and that takes time to evolve. You know, to working and learning and studying. I only had one trainer. I know, and I see people that go to different trainers, different teachers, but how are you going to extract the knowledge from one and try to extract knowledge from all the other teachers? You know what I mean? So it's good to have multiple teachers, but what then you're doing is it's like everything can be fighting with each other. So you first have to extract this one best you can, then that one, and then that one, and get the best out of it. And then what you have to do is put it all together yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, very much so.
You know what I mean? And don't just go there just because of everybody else is going there. It's what clicks here.
Right.
I try and look at people for the person. To me, everybody is a being, not a colour, not a creed, not a race, not a gender. Everybody's just a person, and everybody has good in them, and everybody has a bit of bad in them. So you have to basically look for the good in people, and don't trust everybody, because not everybody is there to be trusted. But look for the good in people and help people along, regardless of race, creed, colour, etc. So look for the heart rather than looking at the face of them, because we're all the same underneath.
Interesting. No, thank you very much for sharing.
Humanity.
Yeah,
You know what I
totally
mean?
about humanity.
Humanity, man. It's just you know, you got this thing going about Black Lives Matter thing, yeah? Every life matters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every life matters. You know, it's hard what's happened, but every life matters. You know, because even when you say just Black Lives Matters, the other person think, well, what about us?
Yeah.
So you create a division straight away there. It's wrong what's happened, boom, put it, you know, I can't say just put it in the water, but it's wrong what's happened, but every life matters.
Interesting.
Another thing that I've always taken some solace in is when you are at school, when you're working for somebody, you have good bosses and bad bosses, you have good teachers and bad teachers, you have good friends and bad friends, and you always try and go, okay, well, I've got a bad friend there, so I can learn as much from that bad friend as I can from the good friend. I've learned a lot from people who have treated me shabbily by thinking I'm never going to treat anybody like that. That's not the best way to get the best out of somebody. So you learn from both the good people and the bad people.
Interesting. No, yeah, very good point. Yeah, got some questions relating to what you just said. Actually, from Hamid Raza. It's a question to both of you. His first question is for Mr. Wahid. Do you still coach? If so, where is your gymnasium? And for Ian, is close protection, aka bodyguarding, security license worth going for? So could I start with yourself?
The gymnasium, well, it's very quickly, it's a funny story. I never envisioned an opening of the gym again. We had the first gym in '95.
Was that the one on National Road?
Yeah, which we met many years ago. Yeah. And in '95 to 2000, and then since then went into the security industry, and then lost my mum over a year in July it'll be, and due to lockdown, there was nowhere to train, nowhere to do anything. And we had a unit in town with myself and my partners, a car parking business.
In Deansgate, is that the one that
Trinity
Way, Salford?
Yeah, Trinity Way,
right.
Potato Wharf.
Potato Wharf.
And so gyms are closed, no business, no support from any entity, council, nothing. So we just put one bag up and then just made a little video, and then I just shared it with a few of my friends, and then just, oh, you opened a gym again? I said, no, I haven't. I needed somewhere to train and take my mind off things. Right. And you know, mum's just passed away and everything like that, and you just need to use that energy in the positive, use that negative into a positive.
Interesting. Mm-hmm.
And then so the gym, we do classes there now, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If you go onto the Fats Gym Instagram, Fats Gym Instagram, Fats Gym 11, Fats Gym 11 Instagram. Please join and share and like, and you'll have all our details on there. And if you need any health issues, here's a man here.
So Ian, moving on to yourself.
The gym that is created now that we're allowed to open gyms again It's phenomenal. It's got a full size ring, got so many pads. It's
Nice.
from next to nothing. It's an amazing environment, and it's not like going to Pure Gym or somewhere that is a gym where everybody looks at you and how big are you getting and how much can you lift. It's a community gym.
Yeah.
And everybody just mucks in together, and it's absolutely brilliant. It really is.
I think what it was back even in the 90s when we were competing professionally, it was just like somewhere to go and it's like a community centre. So all my friends, and they'll just turn up, have a good bit of banter, and we're all benefiting. So that love and harmony we had there, that's what we brought back again. The same. So just picked up from where we left off. There you go. Mm-hmm. That's all we've done.
And again, the great thing with the way that our hearts work is that if somebody needs help, we're there to help them. When we talk about help, it can be physical help, it can be spiritual help, it can be all sorts of different types of help. We can help guide. We're old in the tooth, me older than him, but we're older in the tooth. We've seen life, and the devil knows more for being old than being the devil. And so we've seen an awful lot of things going on, and we can help to sort of direct.
Yeah, no, interesting answer. Thank you.
Other question was, is the security industry worth getting into? Close protection.
Yes.
It's an expensive get into, because a decent course is going to cost you a couple of £1,000s. There are cheaper ones, but again, you're not going to learn properly the tricks and the rules of the trade.
So you're gonna have to work your way up. You know, like from even just working in the retail. We started retail.
Yeah.
In late 90s, late 80s, 90s. Went into retail business, then to doors, then car parking, and boom, and then there you go.
There are different license sectors. So you can have the retail license, which is security guarding, so you can work a building site or in a shop. You have the door supervision, where you can work on events and licensed premises. You have CCTV that sits on its own. You have to have that separately, and then you have close protection. That's the all-encompassing, apart from CCTV. The course should be around 14 days. You will also need to do a first aid at work course as well, so you'll need to have some first aid. You don't need to have any firearms training. It's a fallacy. If you're working in the UK, you can't carry a firearm, so what's the point in spending another £500-600 in doing that? You have to take on, as Noor says, you have to take on jobs that perhaps you think are beneath the badge. But as you take those jobs on, you start to make contacts. The industry in CP, as we call it, it's about who you know, not necessarily what you know.
Yeah.
You get some numpties that are working out there in CP that really shouldn't be there. However, if you're persistent and if you keep applying and you apply to your limits, there's no point in applying for a job in a hostile environment if you're not ex-military, because they won't look at you. Equally, you wouldn't necessarily put an ex-military person
Exactly.
with some of our high net worth individuals, because they haven't got the same understanding of life. So I would say, Mohammed, go for it, work hard at it, don't get downhearted, but you do need to have another industry that you can do whilst you're making your way. It was quite a long time before I was able to say I only do close protection, and even now I do lots of other things as well. Yeah. We for Ramadan we do car parks. It's not beyond us to actually say yeah I'm looking after Sheikh Mohammed. Yeah, but actually I'm doing a car park for Ramadan as well. So don't ever close your mind to anything. You know, work your way through. The more you know about how security works, the better, because you can do those easy jobs very simply, but they might be the stepping stone to go to more.
Car parking for us is the difficult section.
Certainly is at Ramadan.
You know, sometimes like I said, dealing with people is a big one. You know, and face to face, those skills you have to work on. Mm-hmm. You know, my English isn't brilliant. It's not as good as this, but I can, you know, gradually work, especially dealing with your own people, is very challenging.
Interesting, yeah. Just going to go back to some questions on YouTube relating to what you just said. Khalid Ibn Walid,
Mashallah.
YouTube user. A couple of
Khalid
questions from
Ibn
him.
Walid.
I'm going to just group a couple of questions because they're very similar. So he said he's a big fan of Thai boxing. He wants to be a professional kickboxer
Mashallah.
by Kevin Henry Morris.
Oh yeah, Kevin.
Okay.
Respect to Kevin Armstrong and the Morris brothers, beautiful brothers, man.
So he has a couple of questions. Do you believe that Allah protects you when you fight, and how do you balance? Again, this is to both of you. Your training with your spiritual aspects, the deen, your religion, and likewise, Ian. What's your approach? What's your view, and how do you balance these things in life, the different aspects of life? So starting with
Me personally, when I first started, my deen side was very, very low, virtually non-practicing. I knew I was a Muslim, and I knew I don't eat pork or just the basic stuff. Wasn't practicing, and if our brother here, Khalid,
we have Khalid Ibn Walid and care homes. So it's a joint question, very similar.
So, Masha, these brothers here, if they have that now, of that, what I didn't have then, they'll be powerful people, because what they're doing is using. I've kind of connected now, and I'm more calmer. In one respect, some of my family out there probably watching, friends, he's lying here, you know what I mean. But it's kind of helped me to keep my feet on the floor. So if he's got that knowledge now of spirituality or religion or whichever he's saying, and he combines that together with his sport, then he's on a winner.
Interesting, yes. And, Ian, how about yourself?
The protection industry, the security industry, we'll go back to military industry, it can be very family unfriendly. So if you have to go away for a week, a month, sometimes 3 months at a time, when you come back, you make sure that you spend that time with your family. Whilst you're away, you make sure you're always in touch with them. You make sure that they know that you are thinking about them, as you know that they are thinking about you. Family is so important. Respect your family, especially your parents. My mother died 4 years ago on Eid, straight to heaven, thankfully. And I can't tell you how much I miss, as I know Noor misses his parents too. My dad sadly only lasted 6 months afterwards. So make the most of your family. Make the most of your parents, because they are really putting themselves out for you. In terms of how do I manage the faith in line with the work that I'm doing, I wouldn't say that I know that Allah is looking after me. I know I lead a good life, and I do the best as I can, and my deen really comes from the fact that everything I do, I say Alhamdulillah, because it is God that has given us the opportunity. So I'm not saying that he looks after me, but he gives me the foresight to plan and prepare. It's the 7 P's. Poor planning produces poor performance. So everything, if you plan a task, for example, then Allah is giving you the opportunity to make that planning, and he's given you the ability to do that. So he is looking after you, but ultimately, if you want to do something silly, stick your head over the parapet. There's nobody's going to help you.
It's all a test here, you know. It's a test.
It is very much a test.
Tie your own camels, in short words. You know what I mean? If people want to train, you know, want to go to a fight, we have also a motto: train hard, fight easy.
Train easy and die.
Yeah, right. Or train easy and die. You know what I mean? But whatever, the main thing you want to know is you've put in what you had to do. You've had to do the bare minimum, and you've gone for it and you've done it. And whatever comes after is, you know, at least you tried.
When you talk about fighters, you look at the amount of effort that goes into fighting. You look at Fury and Wilder, for example, at the moment. They're fighting in July. You have the idea that Fury is a bit of a lazy person and he keeps putting weight on, and you get the idea that Wilder is fit as, and he's going for the training. But actually, when you scratch the surface, Fury is very much going for it as well.
Very quickly on that, I think there's a YouTube video of myself fighting, and I'm fighting a guy called John Smith. Right, John Smith. It was about a third fight, I think, and it's the only film on YouTube. I've got CDs which I've not put on yet for various reasons at this moment in time, so we're looking out for that. However, it was a massive learning curve. John Smith never won any fights. He had about 50 fights, not won one. He stopped me. You know what I mean? And for me, it wasn't like I was making noise or making big mouth, but losing is a part of winning.
Yeah, it's a learning curve.
Right? And you have to just remember that. You know what I mean? For anybody out there doing what they do, don't take it, let it knock you backwards. You might take one back, but then take two forward or three forward.
And be humble at the end of the day.
Yeah, very much.
Be humble.
Very much.
People who are arrogant tend to be the ones that you see, but not necessarily the ones that are pure.
Interesting, nicely put. Thank you very much we have some positive feedback on YouTube. Thank you very much to Banu Deb, I hope I said it correctly. They said it's a very interesting programme. Yahya Khan says, mashallah, so got some really good feedback coming in. Another question from Hamid Raza again. He said, this is amazing. Can you both share some funny stories of your experiences in your careers? So who would like to go first on this one?
We'll make it always fun. You know, what it is life is too serious. Right? Me personally, Ian's probably the same natured, right? But you have to make a positive, something which is serious, but there's got to be some element of, to take that seriousness out of it, you've got to kind of like what you say, make it fun. You know what I mean? I mean, if it's a serious job we're doing, but we've got to make it fun and make it enjoyable. But I know the question what he's asking is there some funny issues or some incidents that happened.
Do you remember the...
I try to forget.
we were in London working with Mr. Jackson.
Oh yeah.
And I had a team of 20, and they were all really top guys. SAS, SBS, ex-paras.
Ex-paras being
ex-paratroopers. We had Noor with his skills. We had Pat Parton. God bless him.
Yeah, God bless him.
Pat was a British champion boxer as well. So I had a lot of different skills within there, and within no time, we were at this hotel. Within no time at all, there were like 700 people. The word had got out, and there were 700 people outside the hotel. So it was barriered off. Coming out of the hotel, flanked Mr. Jackson, and all of a sudden we see this figure in white jump over the barrier. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And the comedy terrorist.
Oh yeah. The
comedy terrorist leapt over the barrier holding something that was black, and we didn't know who he was. All we knew was there was a man in a white robe that was starting to come towards us.
You thought it was Jesus.
Yes, that's right, he did. Now there was an ex-SB guy called Lee, Liverpoolian Lee, and he took 2 steps and took him out absolutely amazingly. Perfect takeout, only then to find that it was a scroll that he was coming to ask Mr. Jackson to sign. And then of course all the MTV cameras are on it, and the next day we had Jackson's bodyguards take out the comedy terrorist, and we got a lot of bad press from that. But that was quite, for us on the inside, that was quite amusing, because it was a perfectly executed exit for the client, takedown of the threat.
Yeah. Bit too heavy-handed though, but you know, it is. But I think it can get carried away. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But in the heat of the moment, you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know. You know, you've always got to put your client first and his protection.
Speaking of funny stories, I have a question here from Marcus Haddock. I don't know if that rings a bell.
Marcus Haddock. I'm not going to say I don't know you.
Going off your expression, I think you...
I don't...
So...
Go on.
He says, Noor is one of my most generous lads I've ever met.
Yeah,
compliment, nice. My question to him... How to ride a roller coaster best several times in a row without becoming seasick? Greetings from Zurich.
Oh, greetings.
Something fishy there, I think, with Marcus Haddock.
This one.
Yes. To my Swiss massive, greetings. Yeah, well, that's a good story. Well, hold your breath. That might be an idea. No, it's just a funny. We went to a roller coaster with some guests of mine from Switzerland, good brothers from out there, and yeah, when they come over, we share some trips around the country, and it's like cultures as well. He learns our cultures, we take for food, and then obviously I'm going to visit you soon as well. Don't worry. And but yeah, that's just a trick question. That is.
All right.
It's a trick question.
Okay,
that's all.
okay,
Well, that's why I said to him, hold your breath.
Excellent. Another question from again Khalid ibn Walid. He's asking, what's the best thing about your career? And this, he has asked for, well, to be fair, both of you can answer this. Your best things about your careers so far.
Go on, Ian. Let you go first. You have to think about. I've got to think about that one.
Well, I think over the years, I feel very proud in two things. Number one, I've only ever had one job that failed, and that was because the client didn't give me sufficient information about the threat. So I'm very proud of the fact that all my jobs have been planned, and that's 30 odd years now of tasks. So all my jobs have gone well. The second element, I think I'm proud of the fact that I've helped so many people. I've been given the opportunity to help people, to make them feel safe, and to let them go about their daily life in knowledge that they're safe. And I think that sort of protector tag to help people, it's the helping people that these days gives me the most proud moments.
That's nice, very nice.
And that's not just in protection.
In life.
Because in life, we say help our neighbours, and Noor and I were talking before, and we were saying it's not just your neighbour next door, it's your neighbour 40 doors down.
Yeah, 40.
It's your neighbour 40 miles away. It's we all need to help ourselves within the community, and I think that helping is something that over the years I've kind of developed, and I like to think that God will look kindly on me, and he will judge me for the good things I've done.
That's a nice answer, thank you.
For me, I think it's just working with beautiful people, kind people. That's a blessing, because I've worked with maybe 2-3 clients, and some clients we work with now, and they're just beautiful people, man. Generous. They're just. We're just professional with how we approach with them. We don't, even their generosity, we don't abuse that generosity. And I think that's a key thing today, where people can abuse someone's trust or their generosity.
Yeah.
And it's a very, very fine line. And it just shows the quality of yourself or a person. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'm perfect, I'm far from that. But what I'm saying is that's the way you have to look at it.
It's also the attitude.
Yeah.
The attitude to not only your client, but attitude to the people that are working with you and for you as well. And I've learned from Noor about the way that he comes across to people, and he's no pushover. There's not many. Put it this way: I don't think I would. I don't think I would win these days at all. I don't know if I'd ever would. But it's the way that he approaches people, and the philosophy of how Noor runs himself and his security businesses.
I think when I met my Sheikh Maulana Sheikh Nazim, may bless him. Before that, my mind was in a bit of wasn't really focused on one thing. But then all that came into sync. It was like a missing link. So there's somebody out there who's probably looking for a piece of jigsaw, to say, oh, we'll listen to this channel, or listen to something, or listen to a talk. And they always wanted to add their knowledge about something. But so when I met my teacher, spiritual teacher, that kind of like was my missing link. And then everything else just fell in together.
I can relate to that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can relate to that.
You
with my
you just boom, that's it, bam. And then, you know, because even speaking to people, or whatever their sexuality was, or wherever they be as a person, would be, I kind of like deal with them on that basis. But now it's not. It's just one. Everyone's just. It doesn't matter what he is or she is or what he's doing, what he's not doing. Yeah. All right. If they're doing something bad, I'd just try and say, listen. I don't want to be in that circle, or just stop what you're doing. Try and give them some positive advice, and instead of try to just say, okay, it's all right, but as long as he's not doing it to me, or no, it doesn't matter if he's not doing it to you. Try to, you know, speak to people, and even through the work, people come to you and they've got issues already going on. Mental issues are a big issue now because of what's happening out there, drugs, abuse, and whatever issues they've got going in their family or the parenting or whatever it might be. They need to release it somehow. And unfortunately now it's all about this medication or giving you drugs or this, and it suppresses it, but there is a cure for everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Spirituality or meditation or
Yeah.
being in the right company is
Definitely.
a cure.
Positive thinking,
Yeah, it's a cure.
the outdoors, grounding yourself with the earth. It's as easy to do something right as it is to do it wrong. And it's very hard. And I'm glad I'm older because I wouldn't want to be a teenager or a young adult growing up these days, because there's so many temptations out there. And it's very hard to sort of step back and say, I'd like to look at this and say, what would my parents think? What would my friends think if I did this? Having that self-respect to say, I'm not going to do those drugs. I'm not going to do that sexual thing. I'm not going to get involved with things that I know in my own moral heart are wrong, but I'm getting swept along with the tide. And it needs somebody special to actually be able to stand there alone. And so I would say, talk to your community, talk to people that you respect in the community, and say, I'm being led down this path. Do I really want to go down this path? I know morally it's not right, but I'm not strong enough on my own not to do it. And take a step back and say, I can do this right rather than doing it wrong.
It's interesting you say that, because the channel you're watching was on right now, Prophetic Path. We have a website where you can actually sign up for free and be assigned a mentor to help you leave drugs, pornography, all these vices out there. Prophetic Path is a free service we have where you can sign up for free. Boys and girls, anyone can sign up for free. And just as Isma was saying, talk to somebody who can guide you away from these vices onto the straight path. So going back to what you said, Noor, about obviously you evolved spiritually over time. Yeah. So would you say that, I know my Sheikh, Hazrat Sheikh Ahmad Dabbar, they said that never judge never hate the sinner, hate the sin. Never hate the sinner, hate the sin. So what would you say, would you perhaps also learnt this over the years?
Yeah, I think it was going back to yourself. It's always within yourself. Everyone talks about jihad and to pick up the negative side of jihad, which is what they see on TV. You know, with showing on guys firing missiles and all that. No, the jihad begins with yourself. And I think you know better than me. There's about 14 levels of jihad, is it? Or there's a number of levels of jihad,
yeah.
And the first and most important one is the one with yourself. The battle within yourself on a daily, constant battle. You know, whether it just even getting out of bed is a battle.
Yeah, especially in the morning for morning prayers.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yes.
I'm the worst. You know what I mean? I'm the worst for that. First of all, and we have to identify that by saying, yes, it's me. And by saying, yes, it's me, then you're admitting to it, then you can try to do something about it. Or if you say, oh, it's something else or it's someone else, you know, that's it. You know, you have to, that's the way I look at it.
I always think, how would I feel if somebody did that to me? How would I feel if somebody did that to my sister or my mother or my father? And reflect it onto yourself and say, well, you know, what would I do if somebody did that? How would I feel? So if I do that to somebody, how would they feel? And you're owning the responsibility then And as soon as you start to take the responsibility for your own actions, because
Interesting.
you always have to look in the mirror.
Mm.
And when you look in the mirror, can you look in the mirror and say to yourself, I feel like I have done the right thing?
Interesting. Another question on, thank you very much, Zoe. Another question on YouTube from, again, Khadim Walid. He's asking, who taught you Thai boxing or boxing? Was it the same?
Muay Thai, God bless him, Oliver Harrison and Humphrey Harrison, the two brothers. And like I said, I've only had two teachers, or one, Oliver Harrison, then Humphrey, throughout my career from 1980s, early 88 to 2000. That was my competing up to there. So Oliver was teaching me Muay Thai, and then from into 95 into professional boxing. So I was with them for a long time, right up to Oliver passed away in 2019. He's still with us. You know what I mean?
Speaking of martial arts, I can recall not long ago you sent me a WhatsApp message. It was an old video of Muhammad Ali, and he's been interviewed in the 1980s, perhaps or the 1970s, and he said to the presenter and the audience, he was talking about bodyguard. He said, Allah is my bodyguard, he's your bodyguard. He's everyone's bodyguard. Yeah, and that's quite interesting how he for me, it's made sense that yes, you bodyguard other people, but you have bodyguards as well.
Oh, yeah,
God is always with you, he's
yeah.
always watching you, he's always hearing you. He's always looking out for us, but we're not conscious, perhaps.
I think there's a lot of people, because the channel's obviously, mashallah, you're doing a beautiful work here. You have to understand that sometimes there's people out there who don't have any belief. You know what I mean? You may not have any belief, but when they say to me, I'm not religious, I look at them and say, there's one particular friend who say that I'm not religious, but everything that he does is kind of like a sunnah. You know what I mean? That, you know, he'll care for somebody. He'll say please, he'll say thank you, he'll care as a human. And so he'll say, oh, I look at the nature and I look how beautiful that is. So I said to him, listen, by you just saying that, you're just saying subhanallah, but in his own English way. So it kind of like clicked a bit. So I said, yeah. I said, look, you might not be. So for me, my answer to him was, you're just not a practicing person, whether it be Christian or Judaism, whatever it might be. You might be practicing the same way I never used to practice. But then, alhamdulillah, it comes to you.
Interesting, yeah. Thank you.
I think over the years I've worked in so many countries with different belief systems, different cultures. It is what's in your own heart at the end of the day, and with Fats as my mentor for nearly 20 years.
Wake up! Wake up!
Oh, what? Sorry. He's actually brought me to see that Islam is what's in my heart, and it fits with everything that I believe, and I try to practice. It fits with me. So it's what's in your heart at the end of the day, whether you are practicing whatever or not. If you have a good heart, you're a good person.
And then going back to that, off the back of that, is where people get the negative press about Muslims or any left wing, right wing, whatever. You know, the individual's actions it shouldn't be the religion's fault.
Yeah.
Or the faith, or if they even got a faith. I mean, their actions shouldn't really represent one minority or a minority as such. You know what I mean? So this is where the media, false news, all that kind of the time we're living in now. Yeah, the time we're living in now is of that. Something true might be made out to be false, and vice versa.
Interesting. Yeah, thank you very much for that answer. We're going to finish soon, but is there anything that you want to tell to today's youth? Perhaps any piece of advice you could give individually, going off what you've learned through the journey of life? What would you say to today's youth watching live on YouTube, perhaps?
MashaAllah. Go on, Ian, let you answer first.
Thank you. That's very kind of you. Give me time to think.
I can answer it first, but I'll let you go.
I would say try and keep trying. Have a goal and keep going for that goal. Respect yourself and respect others.
Thank you very much.
I would say I'd like to mention a poem, a short poem, from Imam al-Ghazali, rahimahullah, who's a 10th century poet, philosopher, and he says, gotta get right, innit?
You wrote it down, good.
Gotta get right. Gotta get right.
While he does that, I'm going to something that occurred to me. I'm going to share, and you probably know this already. Back in the 1980s, do you know how Mr. T? For those of you old enough, remember Mr. T?
Yeah.
Do you know how he became famous?
All the gold chains.
Well, before that, even, do you know how he became famous?
He was a
The bodyguard.
He
eh?
was
He was a doorman. He was a
Yeah,
doorman.
that's right.
And
He was either in West Coast or East Coast, but he won a series of championships for the best bouncer in wherever it was, Miami or LA or whatever. Can't remember now.
very true. So for those who don't know Mr. T, for the younger audience out there perhaps, well, he was a doorman, aka bouncer, and he had a business card that he would give to celebrities, and on his business card, it was very nicely put, he said, he had his name, Mr. T, and he said, and I quote, "After God, I am your greatest protector."
Beautiful.
But you ain't getting me no aircraft, man.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
you go, Mr.
You
T.
have to put it to the streets to get a plane. So Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, rahimahullah, he says, there is no way to reach the end without mastering the beginning. So we're still beginners. I'm a beginner. You know what I mean? I'm looking at something, I'm a beginner because we're always learning. We're always seeking for knowledge. That's my interpretation. Everybody else, someone else might have their own. But there's no way to reach the end without mastering the beginning. And that's all I can say.
Thank you very much. That's beautiful lines of poetry. So that brings us to an end of episode 3 of Soul Food. Thank you very much for watching. Again, thank you to my guests, Noor Rahid, Fatsani and Dewsnip. If you have any questions or any comments, please continue to share or on the comments box. If you have any other questions about Fats, his gym in Deansgate, Manchester, or to go into the security business where the likes of Ian Dewsnip, please do ask, and hopefully we will try to get back to you as soon as possible. So Jazakallah for taking time out to watch us. Please share and like this channel, and if you wish to be mentored by a qualified mentor and you want to leave drugs and pornography and all these other harmful things out there, please do visit the Prophetic Path website and you will be signed a free mentor and you'll be given free guidance. Until then, I will hopefully will see you in 2 weeks time. Look after yourself, take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.
So.
Don't